Hurricane season's what, 3 months away now, bro? What's the next thing going to be? No more PAs, right? Arkansas, Alabama, it's coming. We just got to find a way to have everybody give a damn about it, right? Because it does eventually affect everyone.
From humble beginnings, Insurance Claim HQ has grown to one of the largest property casualty firms in the country. We didn't do it alone, and you shouldn't either. Every week, we're talking to claims professionals and top experts from all over, all to help you grow your business and make you stronger. Let's level up together. I'm Galen Hare. Welcome to the Level Up Claims Podcast. I'm Galen Hare. If you're serious about winning in this industry, June 12th of 2026 matters. The Level Up Claims Summit brings together serious operators who want to sharpen their edge and separate from the pack. No fluff, no vendor circus, just real conversations with people who are actually moving this industry forward. Seats are intentionally limited. We keep the room exclusive. Once the room is full, registration closes. If you're ready to compete at a higher level, don't wait. Go to levelupclaim.com and request your seat now. I'll see you on June 12th. The regulatory landscape for public adjusters could be changing in a big way in Kentucky. A new piece of legislation, Kentucky House Bill 568, proposes major changes to how public adjusters operate in the state. From freezing the issuance of new licenses to imposing fee caps and tightening the statutory definition of what public adjusting actually is, the bill could fundamentally reshape the profession over time, and not just in Kentucky, everywhere. Joining us to unpack it is public adjuster extraordinaire Jack Hanks, who's been closely following the legislation and its potential impact on the entire profession. Mr. Hanks, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Galen. Always good to see you, my brother. I always tell people, honestly, you're my favorite people in this industry. You really are. You know that, right?
You're going to make me blush. I'm always happy to talk to you. I'll be honest, I'm not as happy to talk to you today. I even wore a black shirt. I didn't have a black suit in my office. I'm very, very sad today. This is not my favorite topic to discuss. And we've talked about some awesome topics, but this is not it at all, is it?
No, and the problem is it's happening more and more and more and more, and it gets a little bit of activity, and then we all go back to our normal life, and then it happens again, and we get run over and run over and run over, and then we're always playing catch up. We're always 30 points behind, it seems like. So
Yeah. So we'll get into that, but I guess for the listeners that aren't familiar with the bill, we should probably cover the bill first, because otherwise, if we talk about how we got here, they might not understand why it matters. So the reason Jack and I have convened this meeting and kind of moved up our entire production schedule for the podcast is we want to talk about Kentucky's House Bill 568, so again, that's House Bill 568 in Kentucky. First of all, for all of you that are sitting back saying, I'm not in Kentucky, I don't care. You need to go read it, because I promise you this is coming to a state near you, and it is coming to your state. And we'll get into this a little deeper, but they pick states like this where no one's going to fight to give all the other states cover, so other states can say, oh, well, like Florida, Texas, Louisiana, wherever, we'll say, well, Kentucky did it. So they do this on purpose. So talk to me about what you see as some of the worst parts of House Bill 568 in Kentucky.
Well, I mean, so yeah, this came up like 3 weeks ago on a Tuesday, and they were voting the next day on it. So I was literally on the golf course playing golf with my wife, and I'm starting to get these calls and voice texts and emails, and everybody's freaking out. So basically, Kentucky, like you said, it's easy pickings because nobody talks about Kentucky, right? There's a bill that got through the Senate, going to the House, that basically HB 568 states, number one, they're going to pause all new Kentucky public adjusters, which means either you're a PA now, going forward you're fine, but there's no new activity. You're not going to get approved. Don't even apply. We're done. So I think there's only 78 PAs in the whole state. Maybe it might be lower than that actually, but it's a really small number. Number two, they want to cap our fees at 5%. Which problem with that, Gail? And as you know, most insureds are $50,000 and less claims, right? Which means they want to get rid of our stuff that even represent 95% of the claims, which only 5% of those claims get representation anyway. So they're really just trying to control the narrative all the way through these claims. Because unfortunately, we have to run a profitable business, and taking a $30,000 claim at 5%, even if we're successful getting the claim paid properly, we're actually going to lose money at that. So it's a losing proposition for that. Third is they want to basically take away the meat of what public adjusters can do. We can't really even negotiate the claim anymore. They want to make us estimate writers and photo takers, and the insured still has to do the heavy lifting. A couple other parts of the bill is, I actually agree with this, is they want to prohibit contractors from soliciting and getting our contract signed, which that should be a thing anyway, right? That's a no-brainer. And third, they want to or no, fifth is they actually want to take away the meat potatoes of what we do. There's nothing left for us to do. So in essence, they're going to take away our business, right? And this is the first step doing that, because you know what's going to happen. You let the what's that, the wolf in the hen house, and we're starting to negotiate a fee cap. What's the next thing going to be? No more PAs, right? Arkansas, Alabama, it's coming, right? It's coming.
Absolutely. And that's the thing that I kind of want to highlight. Like we'll go through a couple of these things in detail, but let's do some math for the people, not keeping score at home.
Yeah.
$30,000 roof claim, pretty simple, residential home, pick a carrier, insert your favorite one that doesn't like to pay roof claims, they don't pay it. Let's say they deny it altogether. So 30 grand is on the table. 5% is your cap fee. That means the most you're going to make if you max out the entire $30,000 value of the claim and don't settle, your insured doesn't settle for a penny less than they're entitled to. Your fee is going to be $1,500. That's awesome if all you do is write one quick estimate and send a letter. However, if you end up putting 100 hours in that, unless my math is wrong, that means you get paid $15 an hour. If you put 200 hours in that, that means you get paid $7.50 an hour, and you would have done better going to McDonald's. No hate on McDonald's. I love the chicken nuggets, but that's not why but you have costs. You have your insurance, your bond, your registration, your Xactimate license or whatever you're using, your DocuSketch or, Matterport, all the different things, Claim Wizard, whatever you're using for a CRM.
Yep.
I mean, you are losing money every time you take a small claim. Which I believe, Jack, I'll say the things that might get us sued. You can say everything else. I believe that that's intentional. I think that is,
Oh, for
the
sure.
carriers are not dumb. They know on a big multi-million-dollar claim, they're likely to get pushback anyway. There's likely to be attorney involvement. But they also believe that on the small claims, PAs are kind of the only people helping because a lot of the attorneys don't really want to handle those. For the same financial reason we just discussed. And so their theory is, man, if we can eradicate public adjusting in this market, then we can effectively do anything we want with regards to claims, as long as we have a friendly commissioner of insurance that won't hold our feet to the fire.
Correct. And keep in mind, all these insurance commissioners, they talk and they conversate and they have these discussions, and the domino effect, right? I mean, Florida went to hell. Texas is going the same. All these things are happening, and yeah, so essentially, I mean, there's statistics out there, Gail. You know this. 90% of the claims are smaller claims, and those are the people who have one or two claims their entire life. They don't know how to handle it. It's difficult. It's a process. It's painstaking, and the PAs are kind of that little gray area, that little area that basically help these insureds out to get what's fair and righteously theirs on a roof claim, because most claims are roof claims, hail, wind, whatever, and people don't know how to handle that, and roofers have a license to put a roof on, not to negotiate claims. So there's another hole. So yeah, these these laws are geared to put public adjusting basically out of business, right? And it's unhealthy, and it's unconstitutional, perhaps. I don't know about you guys are the attorneys. We'll let the bar association talk about that. But and like I said, I can't give your firm $120,000 claims, because you're gonna lose money on those as well. And it's just a very, very, man. It sucks, right, for the insured more than anybody. I mean, we'll be fine. Firms will be fine, but the little PAs are going to get killed, and no, more importantly, the insureds are the ones paying the price on this stuff. And at the end of the day, that's all we all work for, including the insurance companies, right? But they don't see it that way.
And
So
if you're sitting at home and you're one of the 78 Kentucky licensed public adjusters, my first thought is, man, this is great for me. I now have a monopoly in the market. I would suggest you were dead wrong, because all these things that public adjusters can do require licenses, which means now you can never expand and ever get bigger. You are stuck at the exact size you are. So even though no one else can come in and compete with you, you will never be able to do more work than you are currently doing. So it's really not, I mean, only insurance companies benefit. I don't see anyone else that benefits from this at all.
I mean, and what's mind-boggling too, let's say they do eradicate public adjusters, right? We're still gonna get calls on claims, so what are we gonna do with those claims? I'm gonna turn them to you guys. I'm gonna call Bart Denham. I'm gonna call one of our friendly attorneys, and you guys are gonna litigate that stuff. And instead of paying 10 or 12, it's gonna be 30 or 40. So it's really gonna make, and it's gonna make their costs go way up too at the end of the day. So I'm sure there's some algorithms they thought through on this stuff, maybe, but it is disappointing, and it's not consumer friendly at all, even though they're trying to appeal to the masses with this stuff. And and one thing too is my understanding is one of the people involved in writing the bill, she's the State Farm agent who's in the House.
Yeah.
So there's a financial motive for her as well. And I heard Kentucky Farm Bureau is behind this whole thing, getting the pot stirred because they don't want to do with PAs anymore, right? So, and it is frustrating, it is disappointing. And our side, my frustration, Gail, and you and I talked about this, is we're always in the fourth quarter. We just get the ball. We're getting run over the first 95% of these things, and we don't. Our industry does a horrible job of catching up and getting a. We're always playing defense instead of playing offense, man.
Yeah.
We're not. PAs, if 95% of us do a great job, attorneys, 95% of them do a great job. And we get penalized as an industry for these one-offs that go off the rails and do dumb stuff, right? And that's an industry problem that we need to raise the bar on, which we've talked about a million times, is getting better PAs involved, getting more professional. Just and that's got to be self-regulated, not government regulated, man. That's
Yeah.
the worst thing we can do. That's the worst thing we can do.
Yeah, you got to chase the folks out, and let's come back to that. I want to address one other thing with
Okay.
this bill, and y'all can look up the text of the bill, but it's basically what Jack said: no new public adjuster licenses, period, end stop, ever again. You can renew if you already have one, but no new licenses. Limits on fees, caps on fees, tightening up the definition of public adjusters, making sure contractors can't run around and act as public adjusters or solicit for public adjusters. And already the creative, oh, I guess I want to hit two more things. Already the creative people at home are like, oh, that doesn't matter. I'll just handle it kind of as a contractor and kick it to appraisal. Guys, I'm going to do another one of these episodes for a Louisiana bill that's pending right now, where contractors will not be allowed to solicit any business whatsoever within 6 months after a declared disaster. Whatsoever. Which means you think you're cute, your sales team is going to go to people's homes who are in desperate need after a hurricane. Well, guess what? If this bill goes through, you won't in Louisiana. And then every other state's going to adopt it too. So the only roofing companies that are going to get that work, and again, I'll cover it in a different episode, so I'll get off my soapbox, are going to be the ones that are running massive TV and radio, and the ones that are preferred vendors, working
Yep.
directly for the insurance company. So whatever workaround you've already come up with in Kentucky, I promise you the way to close that hole is coming next. So,
Oh,
you know,
it, there's a method to the madness. I tell the story a lot too. We both did a lot of work in Hurricane Laura and Sally, right, in Lake Charles, and without firms like mine coming in and these roofing companies hitting there en masse, there's no way these local things can handle it because there's so much work for everybody, and the insurance companies are going to run ramp shot with all that stuff. And
yeah.
that's what they're trying. I mean, it's policies are contracts of adhesion. You can't negotiate the terms. It's take it or leave it. They control the claims process. Now they want to control who they're fighting against too. So they're literally controlling from intake of the policy getting paid to the payout of the claim. They want to control A through Z. And talking about a monopolization of a platform, it's insanity to me. It's pure insanity. There's
Absolutely.
not one benefit for not one.
And it's so intentional, guys. Look, I mean, you think, okay, Galen's a conspiracy theorist. Like most insurance companies don't really want to eradicate public adjusters. Like I don't know what to tell you other than you're not paying attention. Anti-PA endorsements have become super popular over the
Oh,
last few years, right? Some states have put them out, but even let's look at that. Even you see some insurance company actors being like, "Oh, I hate anti-PA endorsements." I call BS. Badger says, "Oh, no one hates them more than me." But then I get a million screenshots, a few months back when he gets into a tiff with a public adjuster and he says, "I wonder if we should even allow you guys to exist." He works for insurance companies. That's all he does. He talks to them about proposed legislation. Like, insurance companies believe that they have all the power because they do in all the contracts at least, and they are toying around with these ideas. Should we allow public adjusters to exist? Should we allow contractors to solicit customers? Now, they can't really put that in their policy, we found out. Most states
yep,
aren't acknowledging these, but what they can do is spend a lot of money on lobbyists and make a
a
lot
lot
of
of money.
donations to politicians, and they can get the state to do kind of whatever they want. If you don't believe me,
Yeah.
look at Hurricane Ian, right? The
Oh,
entire state is
bro.
destroyed after Hurricane Ian. And Florida, with a straight face, gets up and guts all the consumer protections available with a straight face while the state is reeling from a massive hurricane. If that can be done, this can be done in any of the 50 states.
Well, when the Florida Department of Commissioner or the CFO gets on the news the day of the hurricane and says PAs are locusts, which I've been doing work in Florida for over 25 years, and I promise you I'm not a locust. They put that narrative out. That's because once again, Galen, the lobbying and the money involved is mind-boggling. They're spending, uh, billions possibly on lobbying and all these efforts to they wanna control the money. It's all follow the money, right? Follow the money. I mean, we try to do our part, you try to do your part for sure, and we just financially won't be able to ever do that, right? It's the numbers aren't there. However, what we can do is get organized as an industry, roofers, contractors, the bar association, the PAs, all these things need to have a central somehow and come together and start get the media on our side, man. Start pumping these things constantly so we're ahead of this. Because if it's all about winning the hearts and minds, right? These insurance companies, they advertise a lot. Aaron Rodgers is never going to screw you. Patrick Mahomes is never going to screw you, right? Well, those guys won't, but your damn willing State Farm will, right? So their marketing, advertising, and their lobbying efforts are very cohesive, and there's a message there. So little guys like me and you are just we're little gnats around their brain, and it's we got to get our industry together, man. We got to start fighting this, or it's all going to become it's going to be litigation intensive, and there's not a lot. I mean, there's no way it's going to be able to. It won't be able to keep up. It's impossible. And then the insureds are going to get worn down to a frazzle, which they are anyway. That's the crappy part, bro.
Well, and they want that because here's what happens.
Yeah.
Courts are not as reactive to political pressure, but they still are reactive. In most states, the judges are elected. That's not to say anything for federal court, but the judges are elected in most state court systems, or at least many. That creates, and even the ones where appointments are not lifetime appointments, they're still subject to whatever political pressure exists at the time, right?
Yes.
And if you have a world where a state is overwhelmed by property casualty claims, not even after a big hurricane, just regularly, because there's no
Yes.
protections out there and lawyers are having to take everything, you will see, it is likely, some reaction to that is going to make it harder for those cases to proceed.
Yeah.
You just will. I mean, look at the Texas rule about having to segregate out damage and how ridiculous and difficult that rule is to employ. Don't think for a second that that's not because of some of those firms that mass filed cases, many of which, and some still do, many of which had no merit whatsoever. So court said, "Whoa, we got to find a way
Yeah.
to separate the wheat from the chaff." Now, I think they missed the mark in terms of what rule is fair and what rule makes sense, but it's the rule we got to deal with now. And so if you think this isn't coming to you, I promise you it is. So what do we do,
Oh,
Jack? So a few things come to mind. I'm sick and tired of this world where I find out about a bill 3 days before it's going to get voted on, and then someone asks me for money, right? Because
amen.
they don't even have
And
a
amen.
plan.
Yeah, I mean, you literally, I think you were very, and thank you, by the way. I mean, I guess I was playing golf on a Tuesday. I get a call, and myself, you, Bart Denham, and a few of us, we're Venmo or we're zelling money into this lobbyist to get him moving on stuff.
Yeah.
Um, once and the vote's the next day. It's like, what are we doing? Yeah, so we got to get a plan. So Galen, we have $1 billion. What do we do?
Yeah, so I don't even know if it's a money issue, honestly. So
Okay.
so let me tell you, I'm reminded of, and you know, I'll say this, and I don't want to chide any of the listeners that are listening that feel like I'm talking about you. I'm not talking bad about you. I'm just telling you my experience, which is they think because our firm's bigger, we've got unlimited amounts of money, which just is not true. And so they just, anytime something happens that they don't like, they come to us and say, "Will you write a check?" And the reality is, if it makes sense and if we can, and if I can justify it, and if I can keep all my people fed, I will. But all you're doing is throwing money onto a fire and hoping the money doesn't burn. Um, what we did in Louisiana, I can tell you, when we had a big tort reform issue come up that was going to severely hurt property casualty claims. I'm talking mandatory arbitration in all the cases, the eradication of bad
Yeah.
faith, etc. What our firm did, we were asked for a little bit of money and we did send it to help the lobbyists, but we were asked to collect data. We were asked to do this, and this was fantastic. We were asked to reach out to all our clients, let them know about the bill and how, like us, including past clients, and how their case would have ended up if that bill had gone through, and give each of them their reps information, their contact information, and ask each of
Interesting.
them to call, text, and email. And we did that. And we also realized we represent a bunch of churches.
Mm.
You know, I'm speaking importantly to all you large loss people, right? That you claim, well, I don't need to do that because I only take 10 clients a year and make $1 gajillion. You're arguably more
Yeah, but
important.
they have 1,000 members of that church.
Yeah, and then you turn around and say, well, it's hotels. You're not hotels aren't going to go to their guests, but they're all part of these organizations, right? And they're parts of chambers of commerce, or, you know, unless it's a truly standalone independent church, they're part of a bigger organization. And they can send messages out to the entire organization. And, you know, it's scary to a representative or a senator if they get a
Mm.
message from a religious organization saying our entire organization is against this. We don't think it's the Christian thing to do. Or they get a message from an entire hotel association saying, we're not sure we're going to continue investing in your area if you pass this. Or they get a message from the Chamber of Commerce, who usually is super friendly towards these things because all businesses need insurance, right? Who say, our businesses aren't confident that they can continue to invest in improving their properties and their business and spending money on their things because they no longer believe that insurance will actually pay. These things are scary to them. So yeah, give money to a lobbyist, but here's the problem with this, Jack. You got to do this well before the vote because you got to have time
Correct.
for everyone to mobilize, like weeks before the vote.
So
You
so
can't be a
the
day before.
grassroots campaign is what we have to do, and I have some ideas in my head, and I'm going to see you in June. We need to sit down a little bit because if we got it's not we're not going to get everybody together. It's just not going to happen. But if we get some of the major players and we can send out these newsletters systematically to everybody everywhere, just talking about this stuff and just keep the buzz going with these senators and I'm talking on the state level, right? This is where it all starts because insurance is state regulated, and I think if we just keep ahead of that, and the problem is all these groups are going in 12 different directions. We almost need to have like a central hub where a percentage of everything goes to one place and some entity spearheads that, right? We all have claim wizard. Maybe there's a way you can dump claim wizard data in somehow and protect everybody at the same time, but give that pertinent information to get this stuff out because I mean, it's on 60 Minutes 2 years ago, and it's on Dateline 3, and then it goes away, man, until the next big thing, and hurricane season's what, 3 months away now, bro, and the problem is that horse has already left the barn, so we're probably worried about 28 now, not 27, right?
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 2026, our firm's going to be doing things, your firm's going to be doing things. I do strongly advise each of you, look, all bills are public information. They are not secret. So I don't care what state you're in. And if you're having trouble, email me and I will help you find it. But your government, your legislative branch has a website typically that they
Yeah.
maintain where you can see all reported bills. And every one of them that I've ever seen, and I'm not going to swear I've been to all 50 because I haven't, but every one of
Yeah.
them I've ever seen even lets you sort by category. And insurance is usually its own committee. So you can actually search the insurance bills. Now, yeah, does that mean you got to look and see that, oh, this bill's about health insurance, I don't care about that, this one's about that? Well, yeah, it does mean you got to sort through that. But
It doesn't take that long, and then you can see these bills that are being proposed. And as a quick insight into what Jack and I are having to do when we fight these, is we got to figure out who the rep is that's proposing it and why that rep is proposing it. Are they a State Farm agent? Is one of their biggest donors a big insurance company? Are they super tight with the commissioner of insurance, who we believe is going to go to another insurance company as soon as they're out of office? You got to figure out why.
Well,
Yeah, you know
go figure.
what? Yeah, exactly. We got to figure out what's driving it, and then we got to try to root it out at the head. But even those of you that are like, look, and that's why we're spending money, right? We're not sliding envelopes of cash to representatives and asking them to vote against it. We're spending
That'd be
money to,
easy.
yeah, that would be the easiest way to handle it. We'd still probably get way outspent by the carriers, but what we're
Yeah.
doing is spending time and money doing research, and there's people that are better at that than we are. And then where the money really comes in is some of these awareness campaigns. Like in Louisiana, we were able to hire someone to literally just like text message blast entire areas, entire voting districts for people that we thought could swing the right way to keep this bill from going through. Basically,
Right.
like your rep is about to sell you out because they don't want you to have insurance protection anymore. Call this number now. But that wasn't free, right? But what you guys can do for free is find these bills, draw them to everyone's attention. Do not wait till the last minute. That is not the thing
Yeah.
you discover at midnight on a Monday night and then put away for 3 weeks and turn your mind to it. I don't care if my phone goes off at 12:01. You text me and everyone you know a copy of that bill when you find it and say, have you guys seen this crap? First of all. And then you
Yeah.
start reaching out to your customers. Your past customers are even more valuable than your current customers because they went through it and they know what it's like. And if you did a half decent job, whether you're a contractor, public adjuster, or attorney, they shouldn't be totally pissed at you, right? They might be unhappy a little bit because they didn't get as much. But if you're telling
Yeah.
them it's going to be even worse for you if it ever happens again, it's hopefully something they should look at. And yourself can get these grassroots going. But how do we get united more as an industry? Because I know that's really the problem.
I've been putting my head on that. I mean, there's a lot of, there's a lot of us that lead the band, right? Chip Merlin, yourself, me, Doug Quinn. There's a lot of people out here beating our head against the wall, and I think we got to find a way to sit down at a table every quarter, and make an agenda, and then have something, someone, some entity in charge of that to get this message out. And we'll all have the same message. We just got to unify this stuff. And I'm talking in the roofing associations as well, ARCAT and all these roofing associations, because at the end of the day, it's going to hurt them too. Because they want to eradicate roofers, and they want to there's a whole agenda to all this, man. Um, and once again, some of it is self-inflicted. I get that, and I think we need to do a better job of self-policing our stuff, because there's a lot of bad actors in the PA world, bro. You know that,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
w-
and the
I'm
attorney
a big
world and the
advocate.
contractor world.
I'm working. You're working with us to raise the bar of PA stuff, man. That's important. So hopefully that 5% of garbage we can eliminate down to 1%. But at the same time, we still got to do both sides of that. We got to be offensive, and we got to clean up the mess. And it's not about you and I, right? You and we're fine, and we have great careers, but I'm scared about my daughter going into law. I'm scared about my son just got his license. What's going to happen in 10, 15, 20 years? We may not even have a career, bro.
Yeah.
We may not have a career. And public adjusting and roofing, and it's given me friends for life. It's given me a wonderful career. The financial aspects are rewarding, and if we don't start taking care of our own bucket, and being better with that, better stewards of our industry, this is what happens, man. And we get run over, and keep getting, because we get so caught up in the day to day about getting this claim done, or whatever. We forget about the big picture, and they're not they are the big picture, right? They being the insurance carriers, and we have to have insurance. I have insurance. You have it. We have to have it. It's a much needed thing. When it's used properly, it's great, and it's there to protect people, and mitigate risk, right? I 1,000%, man. I got every policy in the world I get my hands on. At the same time, we can't let them run us over, so they're doing everything they want to do. This is not fair. There are consumer protections and rights that has to be addressed, and it's just not being done. And yeah, we need to come together somehow, some way, the big hitters and the little hitters, start working together on this stuff so it's better. And it's not if we all I did the math. If we all put in 500 or $1,000 a year, we'd have billions of dollars to work with,
Yeah.
and we just don't. A lot of us put in way too. I mean, I know what you put. I know what I put in, and we
Geez,
just got to
yeah.
start finding. I mean, it's mind-boggling. We just got to find a way to have everybody give a damn about it, right? Because it does eventually affect everyone.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, you just can't be passive in our industry. And,
oh,
I'll give a little plug. I know the point was really to talk about HB 568 and the general issues, but, I've been part of a few groups over the time I've been in this industry. For those of you that don't know, I started in day claims. So there was really no need for me to be part of an organization as far as I was concerned, because there was no Louisiana specific organization at the time. And why would I join a national organization when I never desired to be national? But then things changed for me in 2020. I changed firms. We grew. So I've joined a few and also exited a few organizations over the years.
amen, bro.
Yeah, I'm telling you. But United Claims Professionals is a really great organization. I will tell you, the folks in there, both members and board members, are incredibly committed to helping the profession as a whole. They are looking at things like this, doing things. I strongly suggest, if you're not in a group right now, you're not in an organization, you have no ability to, coordinate with people. That is, in my mind, the most logical first stop, whether you're a contractor or a public adjuster or a lawyer. I'll tell you right now, there's no bar association as a lawyer that I would join specifically for this. Um, there's a couple,
Interesting.
there's a couple of groups that exist, but they're kind of run by personalities who are trying to more use them to funnel work as opposed to change
Yeah.
anything. If you are a public adjuster, obviously, if you have a state specific public adjuster organization, I would think you'd want to be in it just to know.
Yeah.
But and contractors, you're screwed. Like, I hate to say it that way, but this if you're a contractor, you've got 3 or 4 competing contractor associations within your own state. So you got to pick one just so you know what's going on and you can access all those discounts and stuff. But if you want to know what's going on kind of in the industry as a whole, if I was a public adjuster, attorney, or contractor, I'd probably go to United Claims Professionals.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to do a good job at this, and we're actually working with other. I mean, I'm working with AAA because they do a great job lobbying. So Cade and I are on the phone all the time with this Kentucky thing. We took our funds and give it to them to help with the lobbyist, and
Yeah.
the ego goes over here, bro. Ego goes over here. It's about the industry and the standards, and it is. I mean, it's never going to stop till they win completely, right? And I don't blame them. I mean, it's I speak a lot around the country like you do. My big thing is, man, I have an obligation to be profitable for my business as you do, right? We have an obligation to my partners, my family, my team, my staff. However, I want to run my business morally and ethically, and I want carriers to be profitable as well. I want State Farm to make money. I want Allstate to make money. I want Chubb to make money. I want them to, and they need to. But are they doing it always morally and ethically? I don't
Yeah.
think so,
Yeah.
right? And once again, I only see the bad stuff, and you only see the worst of the bad stuff, right?
Yeah.
So we're probably a bit tainted. I'm sure there. I mean, once again, though, Galen, there's great attorneys on the other side. There's great property adjusters on the other side. There's great insurance people. A lot of them are phenomenal, great people who I know very well, and they do a great job. But there is an agenda there and I didn't realize this until later in my career because I was too busy just trying to make money. But there is an agenda to this that it's mind-boggling when you sit down and put piecing it together, how deep, deep, deep the roots go into the lobbying and the efforts of controlling that. It's almost so pharmaceuticals, oil, and insurance control the world, bro. They
Yeah.
really do, as far as politics and money, right? And we're involved in one of those, and you know, we it's truly the a man versus boys in this thing, but being feisty and crafty and smart is kind of how we all got through school. So if we can kind of put our minds together, work together on that, I think we do have it's not all doomsday. There is a shot, and we have a lot of smart people on our side to help with all this stuff. We really do.
No, absolutely, and it can be done. So y'all do it. I think I'm gonna break tradition because I always
Uh-oh.
it's well, no, it's all good. It's always my thing. I ask at the end what it means to our guests to level up, but you've answered that question. You were on one of our first podcasts. So what I'm gonna do instead is recap it and ask everyone at home to do the same. You said that leveling up is just doing the right thing. You said you do the right thing and it'll come back to you. And this is one of those examples. So I would beg everyone,
Yeah.
instead of asking Jack what it means to him to level up, because he's already told us, I think I would beg everyone at home to do the right thing too. Think about not only your career, but the careers of the public adjusters, the contractors, everyone around you. Think about the insureds that will suffer, and think about future generations. Because if you think for a second that insurance companies don't dream of a world where people are required to purchase their product because it's part of a mortgage, but they are not required to pay out in the event of a loss, then you are detached from the current state of affairs. That doesn't mean it'll happen overnight, but each of these is a step. And if you allow someone to keep taking a step towards the finish line, it will be much harder to stop them when they're closer. So we got to stop the
You let
steps
the
from being taken.
you let the wolf in the hen house, man. He's gonna, that's why I had such a problem in Navia. We talked, they're all about let's work together on fee caps. I'm like, nope. When I have a bully, I want to punch that bully in the face. So you put a hard stop on that, because what happened is now the fee caps are a big thing. Oh, we're gonna fee cap it's if I'm worth more or less than my competition, that's a Jack Hanks thing.
Yeah.
If you're worth more or less than your competition, that's a Galen thing. And I don't want anybody telling me what I can and can't charge on a claim. Once again, that's a little bit self-inflicted. However, that's that 5%, man.
Yeah.
Let's not penalize the whole world because 5% are idiots, right? And greed. Let's not do that. So yeah, it's frustrating, bro. I'm with you.
Amen. Well, Jack, thanks for joining us. Wish it was under better circumstances, but I
Oh,
always
I know, bro.
appreciate you, and you've been so good
I
for the
know.
industry, man.
Thank you, Sir Galen. And once again, as a friend and part of our UCP and I don't think people know how much you actually do for everybody. You are one of my favorite people in the world. Thank you for everything. Your heart is bigger than I could ever imagine or thank you for. The world's a better place because of Galen Hair, bro, and I mean that. So
Thanks, man. I appreciate you.
all right, brother.
I'd like to thank Jack Hanks for joining us on the podcast. Obviously, we didn't go much into Jack. There was no reason to. We actually have other podcast episodes where you can look up him. But HB 568 in Kentucky, guys, do whatever you can because this is coming to your state. You might think you're in a state where public adjusting is more established, and it's not going to happen. That's what everyone in Florida said about bad faith. That's what everyone in other states said about arbitration. These things are headed towards you. So please do what you can, to help. If you want to reach out to people in Kentucky and offer them support, but meanwhile, you need to be checking your state's proposed laws and you need to be taking action. We need to protect ourselves, but we also need to protect the insureds. Follow us on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform. Subscribe to the show if you want more conversations like this. And if you're serious about operating at a higher level, join us June 12th at the Level Up Claims Summit. Limited seats, exclusive room. Request your invitation at levelupclaim.com.